All right, can everybody see me? All right, so Yousuf and I have been working over the summer on Cine dense MRI computational analysis. If any one of you would like to reach us, we have listed our emails below, and we are in medical sciences at Western University. All right, so just a little bit about us. This is us. We're currently second years. My city of residence is Toronto, and then for Yousuf, he's from Hamilton. All right, so the first thing I'd like to discuss are some of the differences between MRI, Cine MRI, and what we've been working on over the summer, which is Cine dense MRI. So just to begin with the traditional MRI. So MRIs, they're medical technology, and what MRI is short for is magnetic resonance imaging, as I'm sure many of you are already aware of what MRIs are and how they function. But just as a quick reminder, they use a combination of both magnetic and radio fields produced in this machine. You can see labeled under figure A to produce medical images. And then for Cine MRI, what a Cine MRI is and how it differs from traditional MRIs are they are typically used to observe fluid flow and movement more accurately. The Cine in Cine MRI is short for cinematic. And the reason this is because a Cine MRI actually takes a bunch of regular MRI photos in rapid succession, so they can be played in a movie-like format. Kind of what you can see in my second figure here, how it's a picture of cerebral fluid flow, or in our case, we'll be using the Cine for cardiodynamics. The third figure I have here, the Cine dense MRI. The dense is for displacement encoded and simulated echoes. So the reason why this is important for us is because it's used for high resolution mitocardial displacement mapping. And it's helpful because, as you can see here, all the blood around the mitocardium is blackened. And when we are doing our computational analysis, this high definition allows us to go through our procedure more accurately. Next, so this is our workflow. So our workflow began with the acquisition of some dense Cine MRI images, and these were given to us by another university, Stanford, and they wished for us to kind of go through and get the biometrics at the end. So in order to do this, we use dense analysis, which is a Cine processing software, which Yousuf will talk about more halfway through this presentation. Then, after the processing, we were able to extract and interpret some of the biomechanics, such as strain and displacement, in a meaningful way, as well as send some of them back to Stanford for their own papers and interpretation. So yeah, I'll just give a brief overview of the workings of dense analysis, and then Yousuf will go more in detail. So the first step was the tracing of the mitocardium. So this is why it was important to use dense Cine MRI images for the blackened blood contrast to allow us to get a really good trace of the mitocardium. So because these are Cine images as well, and they're taken in rapid succession, we had to go through and trace each one along the way. And then what dense analysis allowed us to do was to create these cyclic vector field images. So you can see it moving. And basically what those little dots are, the yellow dots that are moving, it's each image played on top of each other, showing the displacement over the cycle. And then with this displacement, we were able to calculate various biometrics, such as the twist and strain over the cardiac cycle. And then right there in figure C is a picture of one of the twist angles we were able to find. And then here, I'll stop sharing so Yousuf can give a quick spin through the program.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay. So my segment of this presentation, my segment of this presentation is going to be I will be doing a run through of dense analysis. I will be segmenting myocardial tissue, and I'll be presenting cardiac strain using vector diagrams, which were the yellow arrows that Daniel showed you. So, okay. So dense analysis is a program that can be accessed through MATLAB. Okay. It's taking a bit to access. Sorry about that. Here we go. So I will be opening a workspace that has already been worked on before and analyzed. Dense analysis is basically a tool that we use to quantify cardiac strain. Okay, so I will be opening a Cine MRI workspace right now, and there are some toolboxes that need to be installed beforehand. So. Okay, as you can see, there are 29 images here, and this is of a myocardial tissue. I'll just zoom in here really quickly. This is what we'll be analyzing. And to start off, I just want to show you an overview of all slides. This is the cardiac. This is a visualization of the cardiac strain and the torque. So when this is one heartbeat, and when a heart beats, it basically twists, and this is a visualization of rather than contracting inwards and outwards in this fashion. So pause that. From there, I can start a new ROI, cardiac region LV short axis. And outline the epicardium. And you want to be as accurate as possible, of course. But for the sake of time, I won't be doing all 29 slides. I already outlined them. I just want to show you how it works. So this is from slide 13. I should have maybe started earlier, but it doesn't matter. I'll show you how it works. All you have to do is outline that. And while outlining the myocardial tissue, you also want to look at the phase shift, and you want to cover as many pixels as possible, be as accurate as possible, of course. It is a bit time consuming, but it's worthwhile for the doctor that will be using the results. So yeah, I'll be showing the ROI that has already been made. So from the beginning, there it is. Okay. From there, we can run an analysis. It also takes a bit of time. Perfect. We choose the line smoothness to 0.9. And we will have to choose 3 seed points. This is more practical rather than intellectual. So As I said, takes a bit of time. Perfect. Now you can see the cardiac strain right here. And if I go to Lagrangian 2D, you can see the vector field that we saw in Daniel's presentation. I don't know why it's not as clear, but during the end, I might have messed up the first few slides, but this is how it displays the vector field. And you can see the motion of the cardiac. The slices, yes. Okay. From there, we can go to polar strain. And this is already done well. We do 6 segments, so we split it up into 6 pieces. And from there, we can create graphs. I'll show you those right now. So this is another visualization of the contraction of the myocardial tissue through the different slices, or the different images, sorry. And these are the graphs that I wanted to show you right here. So this is the contraction of the heart through one heartbeat. Yeah, it's about 29 slides, so 29 images, sorry. So if we were to calculate the time, it is one beat, and an average beat per minute would be 70 beats per minute, 60 or 70. So this was taken in about 1 second, all 29 pictures. So yeah, and that's all.
All right. So once we finished working through dense analysis, we were able to export results. And the first step before exporting our results were to ensure that we interpreted them correctly. So there were 2 variables in which we considered before producing any meaningful figures with our data. These included first sectoring the myocardium 2 different ways. And the reason why we did this is because we know strain isn't homogeneous across the entirety of the myocardium. So as you can see from figure 3 we have right here, the epi, mid, and endo, 3 different parts of the myocardium wall all experience different amounts of radial, circumferential, and longitudinal strain. Another way we were able to sector the myocardium is into 6 sectors you can see here. So sector 1 being at the top, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going clockwise. The reason why this was important is if I go back here, you can see this sector, these 2 sectors, 6 and 5 of the myocardium will experience potentially more stress and strain. This is because there's blood flow on both sides of the wall rather than 1, 2, 3, and 4, which don't experience potentially as much strain. And then after this, we were able to find some experimental results. Now, we were able to send back to Stanford some results. I believe they asked for all 6 sectors. For all 6 sectors and 3 different kinds, they asked for radial and longitudinal peak strain values. So we calculated all of those, as well as we were able to graph them as well. So here you can see 6 different patients, so 6 different myocardiums, and their differing results. So the peak strain values would be somewhere in the middle of the cycle, right there. And then finally, the conclusions we were able to draw from the time we spent. So our first one being, we were able to increase and enhance our understanding of the cardiomechanics, which has begun to mature beyond a simple anatomy. Our second conclusion was we were introduced to scientific software, so that being MATLAB and dense analysis, and we developed an understanding of how to utilize it effectively. Our third conclusion being we were introduced to the field of medical imaging and how these processes works. So Cine MRI, Cine dense MRI, and our final conclusion We are looking forward to working with new sets of Cine MRI images, given the opportunity in the near future. Thank you. We can take questions now if there are any.
So Dan, if I may, I'll have a comment here in that us as sister institutions, Lawson, Western, and everyone in this town, we have extreme expertise and capability to obtain lots and lots of Cine MRI imaging. Cine MRI imaging essentially gives you intensity. However, your dense Cine MRI analysis is based upon use of a very specific imaging protocol that gives you, in addition to intensity, it gives you phase information. And that is the key part of your dense imaging. That is what the dense Cine MRI imaging means. And to be able to achieve your conclusion number 4, that you're looking forward to an opportunity, I strongly suggest that we speak with concerned people who use the Cine MRI machines in Roberts and elsewhere, also in St. Joseph's, and see and assess the feasibility of how we can implement this novel imaging protocol. So you're not looking for a new MRI machine at all. You're just looking for implementation of a new imaging protocol at the imaging machine, at the camera. That was the comment. Thank you, Dan. Very well done. Thank you, Yousuf.
Of course.
Hello, I had a question or two if we would have time. If not, we can move on to the next presentation.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, great. It's a really cool software that you guys are using. Do you know if there's any kind of like edge detection algorithms you could use to make the process of identifying the inside region and the external region something a little bit more automated?
Yes, there is an option for that. We weren't able to access it, so we did it by hand. Also, we believe that it's much more accurate by hand, so that's why we did it one at a time.
So
okay, I see.
To add to Yousuf and Dan's response, you did see the automatic edge detection, given that they gave a first seeding on one of the frames.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it is essential that any automatic edge detection algorithm needs some sort of seeding. So what Yousuf demonstrated was that initial seeding.
Oh, okay. I see. And the other question I had is, what I noticed from the software is the parameter that's being quantified is the strain, or the strain of the wall. And I was just interested if the stress of the wall is something that would be further quantified, if that's something that can be done with the software, if that's something that you guys would do that on your own, like the stress, like the force on the wall.
I'll come in here. So for the stress, Keith, as you know, we need a transformation tensor that takes the strain to the stress. Mm-hmm. And so this transformation tensor essentially summarizes material properties, the properties of the tissue. So just non-invasive, dense as it may be, but imaging may not provide you with that Young's modulus tensor.
Okay, interesting.
I'll track back. I'm unaware of. I'm ignorant yet. So we will find out.
Appreciate it, Dr. Karcha. Thank you.
But, however, it's interesting to see that even with such very simple-minded benchmarking data, we see that the septum, the tissue that joins the left ventricle to the right ventricle, is the one that moves most. I would expect it for free walls to move a lot. But, but from the examples that we have, it is the septum that moves the most.
Even more admirable that it keeps integrity throughout the cycle as well for that kind of movement.
For biomechanical, from a biomechanical point of view, you and I, as well as Dan and Yousuf, we are going to have to go looking for that one place where the heart is fixed to some location, and then it moves through the heart cycle. So there is one application that is fixed. You need that boundary condition for your solution to exist.
Cool. Thank you very much.
I'm not talking about electrical waves here. I'm talking about the biomechanical movement and the stress strain business.
Cool. Thank you.
So we need that one place where it has to be stuck to whatever, I don't know, the bones or I don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah, that's thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.